Hey guys, what's up? It's Jess.Og. I'm going to be making jollof rice today. A lot of my friends have requested this video, plus people who have tasted my jollof rice. I think it's calm. I learned from my mom. It's pretty good. I'm just gonna get started. So I use chicken broth in my, I use broth, period, which Nigerians call omiera, in my jollof rice. So you'll see now that I'm about to make chicken, and just keep in mind the amount of water you use to boil the chicken, like when you're seasoning and when you're cooking and everything, is the amount of broth you will have when you're making your jollof rice. So I also do have broth saved up, so if you have broth saved up and you don't want to make chicken or something, or whatever meat you decide to make, you don't have to make chicken. I just happen to be making chicken as well today, so I will be using that broth plus the broth I had saved up from last night. Okay, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna be making it in a really big pot, but I'm gonna show you guys how to I'm gonna give you guys the instructions, and also tailor, are you done? Also tailor the ingredients for like a standard pot like this, because I realize a lot of people won't be cooking for too many damn people. So let's get started. This is the point where they be like, oh, video really starts here. Okay, so while the chicken is cooking, I'm just gonna get started on blending the peppers and everything. If you're using a standard pot, you would just probably, I would recommend two red peppers, 2 tomatoes, and I don't know if you guys like spicy food or not, but if you do like spicy food, I would recommend using one of these peppers. I don't know what they're called in English, to be honest with you. It's not really focusing. Hold on. Okay, I'm not really but yes, I'm gonna be using 2. Look at that nail. Wow. You guys, 1 onion, 2 red peppers, 2 tomatoes, and maybe, I guess, just 1 pepper if you don't like spicy food, or you do like spicy food, whatever. Or don't use one of those peppers at all. The tiny little peppers, don't use them at all. That's fine. It'll still taste good, just won't be spicy at all. Okay, now let's get started. I love when they throw it up on like YouTube and shit, and that shit just be coming down sliced and shit. I'm not gonna be doing all that, but just imagine that I did. Okay, so make sure you guys can see. I'm literally, first of all, I'm not a chef. I mean, I call myself a chef, but I mean, like, I'm not gonna nicely slice all these things. I'm not gonna look really super elite while doing it. I kind of just, it's not that deep, you know. I just get around it, throw this shit out right here, boom, garbage. Oh, there's a lot of water in this shit. Gonna take the seeds and stuff out, just that part. The rest of it, I'm gonna cut it up and put it into the blender. I'll show you one time, and then I'll just speed it up the rest of the time. We can go far through the distance. Also, rinse your pepper, bro. Rinse your food. Clean that shit before you put it. Sorry, excuse my language. Clean it before you use it. Like, don't be dirty. See, I'm just gonna rip it up, throw it in the blender, and I'm gonna do that for the rest of the peppers, the tomatoes, and everything. All right, so I'll see you guys when this is all blended up and ready to go. To put it on, first I put it on ice crush, and then I do like blend and then liquefy eventually. So yeah, or I mean, honestly, eventually all them things are gonna eventually get it to liquefy. So your goal is to get it in the liquid form. So this is the consistency. Oh, time to season the chicken. This is the consistency that you're looking for, really. You can see that. Yep, liquid, thick, liquid, looks like tomato juice. I gotta season this chicken. This is the size pot that I'm using. It's much bigger, as you can see. I'm gonna put that down. This is the size of the pot that I'm using. We'll leave it on the stove there. So yeah, that's why I'm using so many things. Like I said, I did leave and say the instructions to use a much standardized pot, so follow those instead. Wow. Now is pour the blended mixture into the pot. You guys this would probably be your only blended mixture. I'm gonna go ahead and blend another one because, like I said, I'm using a bigger pot. We'll fast forward to that. Now that you have everything blended, you have your tomatoes, peppers, onions, and your spicy peppers if you decided to add those. Now that you have all those blended, we're gonna move on to the next step, which is adding in the chicken water or the omiera or the chicken broth, whatever you want to call it, same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. This step is not necessary. I believe that it makes it taste better, and I believe that's what differentiates some jollof rices from others, but it still tastes good. But I like to use chicken broth. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add the chicken broth in. You can use a lot. It's just gonna minimize the adding water to make your rice softer in the end run. But so right now I'm going to go ahead and add in my chicken broth as well as a can of tomato paste, and I'm gonna show you exactly how much to add. For a standard pot, 1 can of this size is fine. This is a 6-ounce can, that's fine. But because of the size that I'm using, I'm gonna be using 2 of these cans. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. This is the chicken broth that I'm adding in. I'm gonna add in a little more too. I have a little bit more, just so in the end, I might not even need to add water to make my rice softer. It might just be a-okay in the end. So this is cool. And while this is boiling and cooking and seasoning, you're also gonna add in some oil. And then I said boiling, cooking, and seasoning. While this is boiling, you're gonna add in some oil and also season it while this is going on. Seasoning is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Bro. And we're back. So this part is like hardest for me to explain, the amount of oil to put, because making African food is hardest. It's harder to talk about like measurements in making, like, I guess, ethnic food, but I'm gonna try. I usually use about this bowl full of oil for a pot like this, and for like a standardized pot I would use like a quarter of this bowl. And I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna pour the oil into here, and I'm gonna show you where I would stop for a standard bowl, and I'm gonna continue for of course for this. You can see right now I have about a quarter, like I guess they say a half of this bowl full of oil. And I'm gonna show you for a standard pot I would stop about here. Like I would use more, like a little bit of half of this. I probably use half of this bowl. Oil that you have, don't use olive oil. When I say any oil, I'm talking about vegetable oil, corn oil, whatever oil. In that case, not olive oil, not something like that. Not avocado oil, not all of those weird. I don't know how it's gonna taste with that, to be honest with you. I've never tried it, but that is definitely up to you. Okay. Now that I got all this down, I'm gonna wash this together. I'm gonna mix this up. How it looks right now. You know, it's definitely not done. It's on the stove, it's cooking. You'll know when it's done because the oil will rise, and I will show you what that will look like. But the oil will rise when it's done. when I say done, I mean ready for the next step. Right now, what you should be doing is seasoning. Seasonings that I have, you may not have, that's fine. You know, you kind of gotta wing it with African food sometimes. Like, there's just certain seasonings that I would use and certain seasonings I wouldn't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna put a lot of seasoning into here. You might not have it, it's fine. It might still come out good. Seasoning is kind of like individualized in some way. There's a season that I do recommend that everybody have, and it's Maggi. And I'm going to show you because I do not know what jollof rice would taste like without Maggi. But you can go ahead and try and see and let me know. I usually use like 3 chicken and then like 2 of the fish ones. There are fish ones, so I'm gonna show you the fish one. But you know, it doesn't really matter which one you use. It's all about the taste. It's all about, if you don't like a fishy taste, don't use much of the fish. There's like shrimp ones, crayfish ones. It's all about the fuck. Holy shit. Did you guys just see that? Yo, this shit just fell into the fire, bro. I can't do this talking and cooking thing. Bruh, this whole shit just fell into the fire, just like this wrapper and everything. But I caught it though. Well, I didn't catch it, but I saved it though. That would have been bad. For this pot, for the smaller pot, standard pot, I would say to use about 3 or 4. It just gives it seasoning, you know, if you don't want it to, be too salty. So if you want to just go as you go, I would say to start with like 2 and taste a little bit and add like another 2 more in the standard pot. Just break it up into the pot. So like as you can see now, the oil has risen. Yo, the oil is up to the top. Feel me? The oil is up here. I seasoned it already. Make sure you keep tasting it to see what's missing. If you feel like you don't like the taste now, you're not gonna like it when it comes out when it's done. Okay, so you want to also preheat the oven 400 degrees. You want to set your oven to 400 degrees. Preheat. Wow, it's dirty. Okay, we're gonna get away from that. Yes, as you can see now, the oil has risen, whatever, and it's time to add the rice. Now this is really the hardest part to explain. I'm sure there's another video that they explain this better, but please be easy on me. I'm really trying to explain this here. It's harder. I just kind of eye it. So you want to use enough rice to where when it is in the oven and when it's coming out, that there's enough sauce to coat the rice. You don't want to add too much rice, because then your jollof rice is going to come out pale. And it's not that it's not going to taste good, but it's not going to taste as good because there's not a good sauce to rice ratio. So you want to add a good amount of rice to where there is enough sauce to coat the rice. So I'm now going to show you how much rice I'm going to add, and hopefully that will help you. I would say for the standard pot, you would use 2.5 cups of rice. Like I said, I don't measure it when I put it in, and I'm not making a standard standard pot right now. So, you know, just try and bear with me here and try to eye it as you go as well. I'm going to use a measuring cup while I'm doing this, so that hopefully it'll be easier for me to see and for you to understand. I feel like it's better to put a little less at first. Like if you're not sure, it's better to underestimate it at first so that you could quickly wash and add another bit of rice, because when you're mixing in the sauce, like before you put it in the stove, you're gonna be able to see how much rice there is in there. So that's easier, but you don't want the rice that's already in there first. You don't want it to get soft before the other rice, so you want to really hurry up with that when you're eyeing it and when you're washing the rice. Cups, maybe 3 cups of rice. Quickly wash this rice. Washing the rice does not mean soap and water. It literally means putting water into the bowl of rice and then rinsing it about 3 or 4 times. And I mean draining it out about 3 or 4 times. So as you can see right now, I'm washing the rice. And then I'm gonna dump this, and I'm gonna do that 3 times. So I'm about to dump the rice in here now, and I'm gonna use, after I use the spoon and everything, I'm gonna see if it's too much or too little rice. Okay, let's see. Like right now I can feel that there's not even half rice. There's not even half of rice in here, so I'm gonna quickly wash and add maybe another 3 cups of rice. You gotta kind of play around with this part here. Okay, so you see I've covered it with foil, the top with foil, and then 20 minutes later you should take it out, check the status of it, and you should mix it. Let's see what we're working with here.
Here we go. Let's see what we're working with right now. And obviously, do not need to mix it up this very second.
As you can see, it's still very saucy. It's not ready at all. I'll zoom in. Ow! You know, this cooking and vlogging thing is very difficult.
I definitely could put a little bit more rice in here. Like I said, that is the part that takes some time. So this is clearly not ready yet. So we're gonna go ahead and put this back in.
Cover it right back the way it was. I have my pot, my stove up a little bit higher just because of the amount of rice that I'm cooking. I'll be here forever if it was on 400. I do not plan on being here forever. Today. So you're gonna keep checking. You're gonna want to keep checking over and over again until the rice is at a good point where the sauce is cooked into the rice, and then you'll be able to taste it to see if the rice is still hard. If it's still hard, you add some water, and you know, eventually it'll be done. I was kind of like on Instagram for a little too long, so I hope I didn't burn the rice. Oh shit. This shit up. This is my life. Like, of course. Bruh. Bruh. What the fuck?
Oh my goodness. This is crazy. This is fucking hot. So I guess the pot top just in. A lot. Probably burning. Yep, definitely burning. You want to make sure you get the sides as well.
Definitely make sure you try to get as many sides as possible. It won't be this hard to mix. It looks like I'm struggling right now because there's so much rice. So I am kind of struggling right now. I don't have that much upper body strength. But you want to make sure you're trying to get it as even as possible. So you really want to try to mix everything together. Looks like we're done here actually. I'm gonna taste it to make sure it's not too hard. Oh my god, why am I like this? Why am I like this? I should show you guys this never happens, I swear. I record and everything goes to shit.
It's getting serious on this track, fam.
So I'm gonna taste it now. To see. Yeah, it's done. See, I'm usually like, especially if you didn't use the broth, you're gonna need to add water at this point. Because the rice will still be hard. So you just add water, put it back in, add water, put it back in until it's like at a good point. Some people like their rice harder than others, so that's up to you. It's like the more I'm just making more of a mess, but I don't understand why I can't do anything without making a mess. I'm so over myself right now. Just to dry a little bit, so I'm gonna put it back in there for like 10 more minutes with just the foil and without the actual top. Actually turn the oven really low because there's no need for it now. So this will still be hot anyway. And there you have it, jollof rice, all done.